you're hiding.
God, you created man.
Yes.
God.
Who else?
Man free will.
What?
Man free will. God, you created man.
Yes.
God.
Who else?
Man free will.
What?
Man free will.
Man has free will to the extent that he knows who he is. Not otherwise.
Where did you get free will from?
Where I got it from. Yes. To the extent that she knows who she is, yes.
Man has free will to know just what he is, and man is God. Then you'd say that you are no more than any God in this room, or any man.
That is correct. I'm no more God than any of you.
And you only have the power to know who you are.
Well, that is saying quite a bit, yes.
What is not God?
What is not God? There is nothing that is not God.
You learn who you are.
It's like waking up from a dream. After a while, one's experience begins to have what I would call a haven't we been here before feeling. Going round and round and round. And then you begin wondering, where am I going? And to answer that question, you have to try and find out what you want. And so I went into that very thoroughly. What do I want to happen? And of course, as soon as you ask yourself that, you begin to fantasize. And our amazing technology is, of course, an expression of human desire for power, for what we want to achieve. So I simply set myself to thinking through how far we could go. And so I soon found myself at a great push-button place where I had a fantastic mechanism with buttons available for every conceivable thing I could wish. So I spent quite a bit of time playing with those. And science fiction wasn't in it. You know, you go going like that, and here is Cleopatra. And so on, you know, and then press this button, symphonic music in 4-channel sound, 16-channel sound, anything, you know, all possible pleasures are available. And when, you know, you're like everybody's dream of the Sultan in the palace, you suddenly notice there's a button labeled surprise. You push that, and here we are. Boredom problem. Yes, boredom is, of course, the problem. Boredom is the other side of creativity. And the energy of creation has that is the yang, the yin side of that energy is called boredom. Everything, of course, is fundamentally yang and yin. If you understand that, you really don't need to understand anything else.
As God, what responsibility do you feel to ameliorate evil in the world?
As God, what responsibility do I feel to ameliorate evil in the world? I begin with the point that I am responsible for the way the world is. If I couldn't feel that, I'd have to blame somebody else. I'm not willing to do that because I know that under various changing circumstances, it might be appropriate for me to be as big a rascal as rascals have been. Now, as to improving the world is always improving. It may look to some people slow, but it's improving even when it is declining, because the world works in an undulatory process, like a wave. It goes up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. And it couldn't go up all the time, because if it did, we wouldn't know that that was up. So it goes down some of the time so that we can know when it goes up, because if we didn't know when it went up, it would be like being in a space where everything was light. There'd be nothing to write home about. There would be no black marks on the space, and so it would be like a piece of perfectly empty paper. Similarly, to be in a completely black space would also be a kind of unconsciousness with nothing to write home about, because there'd be nothing would make any difference. So therefore, if you're going to have black, you won't know that it's black unless you have some white, and if you're going to have white, you won't know that it's white unless you have some black.
Why do you need to love one another? Because if we get to that point, there won't be any of these ups and downs. We'll have to tell you.
Correct, but that's not a teaching, it's a koan. A koan. A koan is a Japanese word for a spiritual problem used in Zen Buddhism, such as, what is the sound of one hand? And these problems are given to those who ask questions concerning their spiritual development. And sometimes, as St. Paul pointed out, commandments are given not in the expectation that they will be obeyed, but in the expectation that they will reveal something to those who hear them. That was St. Paul's comment on the whole Mosaic law. Yes, sir. What? Yes. The hereafter is as called.
So you're saying that
That was fucked up.
some planes are brought like flies are just a conspiracy theory?
No, I think it's a breeding ground for a bunch of conspiracy theories. I mean, like, and I hate to be like the person that does this. I would hate to say, oh, no one's to blame, because there's always someone to blame, right? What I'm saying is, like, air traffic control for the one in DC is kind of at the helm of it. But I mean, until we hear everything that happened, who are we to point fingers? We don't know what happened, right?
Well, usually by now we do. They have audio of air traffic control talking to both the pilot of the plane and the pilot of the helicopter.
Oh, delightful. I didn't know that they released that yet. I've been waiting to hear it. I'll probably go look at that, and then I'll probably change my stance.
Yeah, apparently ATC was notifying the helicopter, and they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. But count on a woman to follow directions. That's
Okay, so it was a lady that was steering the Black Hawk helicopter.
Ma'am, tranny.
Yeah. Well, Adams brought up the fact that, well, not a fact, but Adams is speculating that it's a tranny, which I can definitely lean in that direction, because Trump's going to have that. Trump's going to hold on. So Trump is going to have inside information, and the fact that he came out and made the DEI statements is kind of weird for a situation like that. So he must have known ahead of time. That's probably why he made the comment. And the fact that they're not releasing this person's name, and even the article said it's unusual for them not to release the name. They release the names of the other two military personnel on the helicopter, but they won't release the female co-pilot. So, and more than likely, Chief Warrant Officer, if the pilot in command, the captain, was a Chief Warrant Officer, more than likely she was a Chief Warrant Officer as well. So you're taking enlisted personnel who every other branch will not let them fly an aircraft for that reason, because enlisted people were just fucking retards. But for some reason, the fucking Army does it, and on top of it, they have a female do it.
So is this a picture of it up here?
No, those are the two male personnel. So one of them was a crew chief, he was a staff sergeant, and then the other one was a captain with over 1,000 hours of flight time on a Black Hawk platform, and he was a chief warrant officer.
Wow. Sorrow.
It was a he bitch.
And not a CD, a chick with a dick? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because air traffic control actually had a problem determining the pronouns, and that's why she got like 100 feet above while they were just dishonoring her pronouns.
Are you serious? Come on, guys.
Yeah, for all we know, they were probably arguing about the pronouns. They were saying, "Sir, you need to pull that helicopter up," and they were saying, "I'm not going anywhere until you affirm my pronouns." It's a male.
It's a male. Oh my god.
And meanwhile, then the sighting has got kaboom, motherfucker just going down.
You didn't know that the Army became a jobs program and it's like the post office now? You didn't know that it has nothing to do with waging wars and winning victories. It all has to do with a black female jobs program, just like every other federal agency.
Oh, yo, Adrian.
Well, why are black females a minority in the Army then if it's the job program for black women?
Because they're trying to make it out to be, they're trying to push they want more quote unquote minorities, which I don't even understand why we call women minorities. There's more of them than men.
But the average black woman.
Because the white women, they want to be a part of the minority quota. So, I mean, all they have to do is hire a couple white hoes, and then boom, your minority quota is filled. So, I don't.
Yeah, but black women are even more of a minority, especially when you're talking in aviation. Like, women in general are already a minority as far as aviators go. Black women as aviators is extremely rare.
Well, it's because the average black woman.
Rare because I mean, the population of black women is not that high.
The average black woman cannot meet the health requirements and the standard to get through boot camp. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
I mean,
that literally is the reality of it.
I did.
Okay, but you're rare. I didn't say all. I said most. I said most.
I don't think that. I don't believe that. What are you talking about?
No, but you're not average. I can hear it in your voice. You're not speaking in. No, you're not.
I'm from the hood.
You're not an average black woman, though.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You're not a big fat. I bet you you're not fat.
I bet you my ass is.
Okay, but that's different.
I have a fat ass.
Okay, but that's different.
That's hereditary. I can't help that.
No, but I'm talking about.
I was trucking this big old thing through the army. Okay, I was on my rough march, baby. The only reason I was the only woman that was not prior service out of the entire command that finished the 7-mile run in under an hour and a half. And guess why? Because I'm black and I got this big old thing behind me. And guess what? It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of fucking athletic potential.
Yeah,
there's muscle mass.
Shit. Nobody cares about your poop shooter.
That's what I'm saying. It has a lot of extra muscle mass.
That's where the dude come from. We don't care about it.
You're just a suburban prom queen who just trying desperate to sound like a food.
I'm from the hood. I finished that rough march with that big old ghetto booty. They were like, "What? You finished?" I'm like, "Yes." They was like, "Damn, that shit comes to work. That shit comes to use." They was like, "Fuck, I didn't know that." I'm like, "Yeah, this ghetto booty guy."
You probably got a couple extra points added to your PFT score, huh? Who's that?
Hell yeah.
Huh? How y'all get down? How y'all fat ass?
When I figured out how to pull up this ghetto booty over a bar, oh my god, it was over with. It was
probably had 30 niggas trying to spot you too, huh?
No, I only got spotted by females. You know how that go. You know how that go.
Did you do good on your duck walk though?
Yeah.
When I mean the average black woman, I mean the average black woman being 215 pounds. Okay? Very loud, lazy. Okay? No directional aim, always complaining. Okay? You're not the average black woman. The average black woman.
National Geographic animal profile, bro.
Yes.
Average black females loud.
In their natural habitat, 250 pounds is their natural weight, and they're just roaming around their natural habitat. And you just go to the hoods, and you find them.
You have to listen to their roar. They always roar.
You know what the greatest thing about Trump and the new administration is? Unlike Clown House, where you can have conversations forever, you know, in the real world, you just take in, you do an assessment, you have the conversation, and then power makes the decision. You don't just go off of emotional forever conversations. And that's the beautiful thing about power. So we as Americans are about to go into the golden age because we will no longer have these never-ending loop conversations with stupid people. We'll just make executive decisions and go forward. There'll be no follow-up conversations. There'll be no complaint sessions. There'll be no, basically, I mean, you know, it's over. This is the greatest thing, and you can all see it real time how bad things have gotten. This country has become infected. It definitely is cultural Marxism. It is communism, and it's evil.
Well, yeah, I think, Adrian, you brought up the point about the black black women, and that might be one of the reasons why they're keeping this shit under wrap. Adams, it might be a black woman, bro. Might be a black woman.
You think it's a black woman?
There's a reason they're keeping that shit hidden, bro. There's a reason why they're not. They released everybody else's shit, but not hers.
I would run with it being a transvestite before I would run into being a woman.
But it says that her family doesn't want her released, which I can understand though, y'all, because if it was indeed found that she herself caused this collision, then imagine how
Nothing's gonna happen.
Hold on. Fuck their family. No. Fuck their family.
Wait. Hold on. Let Holly finish. Go ahead, Holly. Finish. Holly.
Thank you. Imagine the shame and the backlash that the family may receive while they're grieving, where their daughter killed essentially 60 some odd people.
Wow.
Release her
That's a
name.
son. That's a son.
Nothing big is gonna happen besides internet trolling, and you probably have one or two angry parents that's probably gonna try to find where the girl's family or its family lives. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be all. It's not gonna be like this long drawn out plethora of like a slew of things besides internet based.
Are you serious? People died on that plane. You know how angry people are? Do you have any idea how angry people are?
It's a false outreach. Like no one, it's sad to say, no one's gonna care because in about another 3 weeks, everybody's gonna be talking about Black History Month and what the hell is happening and what's not happening. This is pop culture news.
There is no more Black History Month. There is no Martin Luther King Month. There is no LGBTQ month. That's all over.
Was it a pilot or the co-pilot was Ichi? Because I heard it was the co. Yeah, so the captain was a chief warrant officer too. So that means for I'm like 99% sure that the he, she, her, him, whatever it was a chief warrant officer. Definitely was in the co-pilot seat. So yeah, but I don't know, man. To be 150 feet above. Because the limit was 200. So in the article it says that in that area they restricted helicopters from certain routes and certain altitudes. So 200 feet was the highest they were supposed to climb. They were not supposed to go above 200 feet. Apparently she was at 350 feet. And I don't understand why that captain, that chief warrant officer who was in charge of that aircraft, did not instruct her or him to go lower, and abide by the regulation. You know why? I can't say shit. Yeah. Get fired. Yeah. That's a good point. I'm gonna sit here with this motherfucking joystick between my legs and that fucking chopper.
Yeah, fun fact is that the one who chopped his own dick was given the fucking allowed to just hold the stick of a chopper. That's why it bent down. Tranny actually chopped his own dick.
All right, let me tell you guys what my friend's dad said. He's a retired air traffic controller. He said, I quote, "The controllers now are idiots and still short-staffed, so it's a double whammy. But he created a new program that you can become an air traffic controller in 6 to 12 months because there was a shortage and they're paying them half as much and they haven't had the proper training. Think Trump is canceling the program. It's not fake. He said his group of controllers is all retired or retiring, so it's only going to get worse."
That sounds right, yeah.
I don't know how true it is, but someone told me that the people in air traffic control are now hiring people that can register themselves as professional gamers because their cognitive to fingertip response time is better than the average individual. That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is. But a lot of people have to say the same thing, and they were like, yeah. And once they get those people, they put them through this training program, but it's an accelerated course. It's not what it used to be.
Right.
And I said, oh wow. So okay.
Well, you know what? I'm better with them recruiting from the gaming community than I am with them recruiting from the mentally retarded community. What the hell is that?
I thought those were the same community. I'm sorry.
No, dude. Professional gamers are very smart. I don't
part that would make this conversation so to the ATC correspondent because it's starting to get weird with the assumptions. We have enough evidence. We have enough evidence where we don't have to speculate. There was really no lack of competence. The boy or girl, whatever it is, just couldn't see the other plane. I don't know how possible that is with night vision goggles and a freaking helicopter that has sensors everywhere that yells at you if something gets close to you. Same thing with the airplane. But at some point, we have to do some.
At some point, we have to have common sense and know that when you fly a helicopter into a plane, there's not competence there, there's stupidity there.
No, it's beyond stupidity. Well, Adrian, I wanted to make sure that it's beyond stupidity. It's at this point, it's on purpose, intentional, because I don't know if you've ever been in a Black Hawk or a airplane, but when you get close to anything, they yell at you. Like,
no, they don't. Have you been in a Chinook? They're pieces of shit. They don't yell at you. They're old, outdated pieces of shit with trans pilots now.
Yes, wait, she just had to see that shit. I can't. But here's the thing. They said that she had eyes on another aircraft. Now here's the thing. I'm not an expert, but I was in this program called Silver Air Patrol, so I have a lot of pilot mentors. And I promise you, back in the day, they always said safety. And I feel like there's hella air traffic to where it doesn't even look safe. Like what they told us about planes and how the air traffic's supposed to go and interact with the air traffic control tower. And the way the planes fly so close together now is weird as fuck to me. And I remember in Dallas, Texas, is my homegirls can remember like 3-4 years ago, there was a demonstration on Veterans Day. It was a whole bunch of drunk ass vets in these historic ass Civil War aircrafts, and they were just swarming each other. And I'm like, bro, that's not fucking safe. Like, what happens to this person takes off and then this person takes off and this aircraft has to be over here and this aircraft has to be over there? Why the fuck are there two different flights? Like, for instance, they said that the commercial flight follows a certain rule and regulations, and they have the right of way, and the Black Hawk, under their rules, they have to maneuver a certain way, but they have a whole other set of regulations. Why do you have?
That's a practice dance.
Why the fuck do you have two different airspaces interacting in the same airspace? Like, does that make sense?
And when you start to understand the inner workings of aviation, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like how we have trucks, and then we also have cars, and then we have the Mini Coopers and the smart cars on the same road. It's the same thing. What is so hard for someone who's not in aviation to understand and wrap their mind around is the inner workings of it in the sky. So it's like, who has the right of way, who doesn't have the right of way, and then it comes down to a timing and a communication thing, and the communication has to be precise and has to be clear. And like I said before, I don't think the communication was precise and clear. And then another thing, I don't think that, hold on, Holly, because you definitely yelled at us to let you finish. I just want to remind you. I don't think that there was an active observing skill going on the behalf of the Black Hawk. We already know that there was a plane that was departing, and then we also saw that there was a plane that was arriving. So, and then you had the Black Hawk coming straight through. So it's like those are three channels of
when the universe was
air traffic that's going through right there. But since the Black Hawk was flying above its regulated altitude, I mean, what can we do?
Real quick. I think the fundamental issue, right? Everything you guys are saying makes sense. But the fundamental issue was the Black Hawk was flying 100 feet above their maximum altitude. If you see the video, you will see the Black Hawk looked like a heat-seeking missile going into that plane. It looked like a heat-seeking missile. It wasn't the plane that flew into the Black Hawk. No, the Black Hawk flew into. There's people. The conspiracy theorists are going to have a field day with this because it looks intentional. It looks like it was done on purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry.
So real quick. Yeah, just real quick. So I just ran into one of my captains for the airline I work with, and he flew Black Hawks for 15 years in the Army. So just got through talking to him for a few minutes. He said that it was at nighttime. So more than likely they were probably running NVGs, which is night vision goggles. NVGs don't have three-dimensional viewing space. It's in 2D, so you lose your depth of vision with those. Secondly, he said that in DC there's lights everywhere, and he said those NVGs can get flooded out super fucking quick with that much light pollution in a urban environment like that. He said thirdly, her being 150 feet above the ceiling limit. He said more than likely they might have been running into some mechanical issues, and she was trying to sort it out. And he said the fourth thing was air traffic control, because he listened to the communication, the comm. He said that air traffic control did not give them a clock when they were notifying them of the airplane's lookout. So, hey, you got a CRJ or you got this and that at 12 o'clock or at 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock position. So he said more than likely she saw the one plane and thought that was it and did not see the other one because ATC did not give them a clock to identify exactly where that plane was.
Right.
Shit happens.
This what I feel like they should do. An instrument only airspace, because the commercial flights, they are on instruments, so they don't use their eyes primarily to fly the plane. They listen, they look at their little knobs and their little gadgets, and they be like, for my calculations, I should. Well, I don't know. That's what I think they be doing. Anyway, it's instrument only. I don't think that you should have an instrument only airspace and then on top of a airspace where people are using their eyes to guide them. Like, so the Black Hawk, they rely on what the fuck they see. And I don't know. I feel like instrument only airspaces should be only for instrument planes. And if y'all out there want to play bumper cars and helicopters, y'all do that shit somewhere else. I don't know.
Well,
I think something scary as shit for me, and you may know about it. Lifeline, fuck that shit. No, y'all can have it. You can have that shit, man. No, I'm done.
I just watched the video. It looked like
You're a few life. You say yes.
Sorry. I was watching the video. It looked like the Black Hawk went straight into the plane. The plane was landing. It looked like intentional. It looked like intentional. It ran into that plane from the look of it.
Yeah, it looks very intentional because I don't understand how, even if she didn't, I don't understand how she didn't see it because it was right ahead of her. There was a lot of lights, but if the lights blind you, then why the fuck is why is that helicopter in that space? If that helicopter relies on visuals and then you can't see shit, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, can I fucking talk?
Oh, friend of mine. Go ahead, Holly. Go ahead.
Damn.
She's like, God damn, that nigga came out of her.
Wait your turn, white woman. You've had a 400-year head start.
Dude came off mic a minute ago. I don't know who it was. He was like saying that, basically jury closed. That the AT, what is it? AT, air traffic control, ATC, did nothing wrong, kind of thing, and it's all the helicopter's fault. But here you have a retired ATC person saying that the program's fucked up. I just asked my friend, would your dad done anything different? And now you have Stig saying that they didn't stay the clock. So I'm just thinking maybe it's a double, triple whammy with the lights, the traffic there, and it's all kind of fucked up. And it sounds like pilots hate landing there. It's kind of notorious for being a pain in the ass to land. But it sounds like, all in all, this is a good opportunity. I'm glad that the ATC is being, because this is kind of shaking me like, fuck, I'm kind of scared of flying now. I'm definitely not going to land in Reagan. I'm going to Dulles. I'm going to DC. Fuck that. But anyway, that's all I had to say. It sounds like the jury is not out. The jury is still out. That the ATC definitely needs to be looked at here.
Oh yeah, definitely not landing at that motherfucking airport. I swear to fucking God. I swear to God. What the fuck? Like, you have a plane landing, a plane to party, and then you have a fucking helicopter going perpendicular through the air traffic, and they say that they can't see in it's night. What the fuck?
But no shade though. That's every day though. Like that's everyday aviation. So I mean,
Yeah, that's not.
it's like
not
this is
air
not
traffic control.
this is not like this is like a, oh my god, this is like a one-off, isolated incident. Like we never have planes landing and departing. We literally have planes that circle in the air for an hour, maybe 30, 40 minutes, waiting for a lane to clear for a safe arrival into its airport.
Yeah, so you don't live in Alaska, because that shit is more dangerous to land in DC. They just don't have as much traffic.
Yeah.
My dad's the aircraft mechanic for a major airline, and between what he tells me about like some of the younger mechanics, and now between with the ATC, my buddy's dad who retired ATC is telling me, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of got me shaking a little for flying.
Bro, that's
you're young. I mean, I was an airplane mechanic too, and I worked for the FAA. I'm not a controller though, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
tell you
on the
what.
ground.
So the prices will definitely plummet, and I'll continue to fly.
Well, the thing is, once you get on the inside, like I used to love flying until I started fixing aircraft, and you see what goes on behind the scenes. Especially look, military aviation is locked down tight. They have a great fucking safety program. I mean, everything is locked down fucking tight.
It ain't perfect.
It ain't perfect.
DC, the F-16, man, they had wrenches falling out the intakes, bro.
Well, that's Air Force, man. I'm talking about Marine Corps, Naval Aviation. I don't know about some of Air Force.
They got some problems sometimes, man.
Yeah, I had the worst trouble flying once I became a mechanic and started fixing planes. Once I saw all the bullshit, once I saw how, maintenance control is more about planes being up in the air than they are about safety. I'm telling you, man, it's rough once you get on the inside of the industry.
Sacrifice my incenses of resinous woods.
My brown ass rather than just flying into your country. You need to keep
Behold the rituals of the old time of black that the evil ones
Well, just to be clear,
strive
78% of air traffic control is white, mostly male. And I'm a technician, and that's 85% white, mostly male.
Fear not at all.
Not accomplishments on a large grand scheme.
Lord have mercy.
You need to
I can't even go to training. Every time I go to training, I'm the only Negro in the class. Just to let y'all know, there is an air traffic guy illegally driving on the airfield because he's colorblind. But because he's white, he can get away with bullshit. And now he's in a management position. Let the motherfuckers keep talking about just the black and brown. Yeah, okay.
Well, Rob Schneider just did a comedy. It was funny as hell, man. I saw it. He said, he's like, fuck that. We do need DI. He's like, fuck these white male pilots landing safely and on time.
And to add to conspiracies, just think about who's benefited and if they kind of scare people away from Reagan Airport. I think there's been a lot of investment put into Dulles. I think I hear there's been, a lot of, from airlines, from the government, wanting people to go to Dulles. So, they like to drive behavior.
That's when the owner pulls out a rifle of his own and fires. Security
He's over in DC area. He's like, man, it's hard for us to land because of this shit.
Did they lose?
I would probably
Did they lose
imagine
communication or
that.
something?
I would probably imagine that controller has not been on the job that long. He's probably
I
certified,
saw the other
but
day
it takes
I
us
was
years of experience to get really proficient. And he
the other day
probably was not, because we have a big influx of new people hired.
Did
Even
you do
in
something
mine,
different
I'm
with
at
your hair?
military airport.
whose hair
It just takes a while.
That's what Holly was saying. Holly, you want to reiterate what you were saying before? Because I don't think Ty was here about your ATC from New Texas.
Oh, is she a controller? What airport?
No, she got a friend, but she just read a text message that he sent her about he's a retired ATC, retired controller, and yo, you there, Holly? She's got the text message. She's probably busy.
I kind of know because I'm a technician, right? And if air traffic has problems, they call me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a technician, so I work alongside.
Yeah, she was saying that her retired ATC friend said that most of the old school heads have already retired. They're out of the game.
Right.
Because there's a shortage of staff, they shortened the ATC training program from 6 to 12 months.
Right.
So, yeah, they pretty much sliced a big chunk of training time off of it just so they can get bodies in.
They've also done that to technicians as well, right? So,
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So when
that's the scariest shit.
During COVID, motherfuckers used to feel like, okay, before COVID, if you had a training class, you would go to prereqs and concepts first, which would be which would be long, like 6-7 weeks. Then they decided we're gonna save the government money by not flying people out to the academy. We're gonna have an online class and a book learning, self-taught. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Self-teaching, and then we're gonna send you out to Oklahoma to do hardware for about 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, if you're not scared now, you're gonna be scared later.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
And trust me, you gotta put on your jumpsuit to go in to that fucking chopper. That's the scariest shit. Anthony knows about this shit.
If it wasn't for the laws of thermodynamics, which is a universal constant, we would have a hell of a lot more catastrophes in this country because honestly, there are a lot of incompetent people at the helm. And we're getting rid of them day by day, hour by hour. Your job, your career, terminated. You didn't earn it on merit. You earned it on the fact that you suck dick or lick pussy or your skin is highly dense with melatonin.
Melatonin's crazy.
Don't have no
Melatonin is radical.
White people don't have merit. They just wrote shit in the law and said we the only people that
we're not gonna do that.
Shit about that.
We're not gonna entertain that. No.
No one's gonna say melanin.
Yeah,
It's
so
that's
shit
fact.
was acting
For
for
500 years. That's fact.
I can't stand what niggas get activated. That nigga activation. Stop it. We're not gonna do that shit.
You can't make this stuff up. By the way, hey,
But Anthony, you know that goddamn blue suit, you gotta go get suited and booted to get your ass in that chopper.
Man, dogs, listen, like you said, they can't. I can't tell you how many dangerous situations them life flights have been in.
Absolutely.
It'd be scary. Yo, listen, man. Even then, when the boys land at the hospital, they got so many incompetent, unused to being around chopper people, they get too close to them damn blades. They don't understand.
Motherfuckers say, hey, it's a bucket. You just go puke in the bucket. Like, goddamn.
Can I bring up another topic that we could talk about like later?
No, we know some real shit. Ain't nobody talking to you.
Okay, sorry. At least I asked the question.
Annie, you're so sweet. You're such a sweet young lady. God bless you. You're a really nice young lady.
I try to
sometimes we gotta get this shit out. This motherfucking stress shit we have.
I was just saying because there's like developing news, and I know like we all love ourselves.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right?
Go ahead.
You sure?
Put it on us.
You got this one with me. Go ahead, Donnie, you're
Do
good.
they want to make them want to marry me? Anyway, so y'all remember how there was like a ban on the handheld like handguns for like 18 to 20? Y'all remember that? No.
Yeah,
Y'all remember that?
it's always 21. Only long guns for 18.
Is that the one that can only get shotguns?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one. So, the federal courts have struck down a long-lasting federal ban that prevented the sale of handguns to Americans between the age of 18 to 21. They ruled it as unconstitutional. So now that age group can purchase handguns. So I believe it's right now it's only through private sales. Are we happy about this? Because I'm kind of happy about it.
No, you gotta read for it. I want to get private sales.
If we're going to do the damn thing, we're not going to do it all day.
I'm unhappy about this. I want to ask you guys a question. You're Harriet. I think you're unhappy about it.
I just like starting that.
Yeah, so check it, y'all. I want to ask you a question. Yo, that's funny. But, here's the situation. How do you guys that have a problem with 18 to 20-year-olds being able to buy guns, how do you guys feel about 14, 15, 16-year-olds being charged as adults for crimes? Do you think that's inconsistent?
What crime?
Yeah. Like
Any crime. Like, people as young as 12 years old have been charged as adults.
But, okay, you say walking is a misdemeanor. Okay, yes.
Oh, sorry, Kate.
A misdemeanor, yes. Felony, yeah. If you're in there stealing, now they raise the age or the crime to $1,000. Yeah, your ass gotta go to jail.
Yeah. I mean,
You were charged as an adult. See, here's the thing, right? Like, if you're 18 years old,
Murder at 12, 13, 14, you do what you were doing. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Right. I agree too. The thing about it is, Anthony, that's not the case in all states. I think it's about 2 or 3 states that still allow children, like I think under the age of 12 or like 11 to be tried as an adult because there's new information out that, people understand like, hey, like their prefrontal cortex is nowhere near even halfway.
Now, because if you will examine it closely, there is no when else than now. And if you want to make hell of it, you can make hell of it. If you want to make heaven of it, you can make heaven of it. Purgatory. It's all here. Always was, always will be. What is death? Death is an undulation in consciousness. How would you know you were alive unless you'd once been dead? Yes.
God, in the same way that Jesus would fulfill God, why was it unnecessary for him to have material possessions and necessary for you?
It wasn't unnecessary for him to have material possessions. They said of St. John the Baptist that he was an ascetic, but of Jesus, this man consorts with gluttoners and wine-bibbers and comes eating and drinking. And when the lady Mary poured precious ointment on his feet and anointed him, they said the same thing that the members of the vestry say to the minister today. Why this great expense? Couldn't it all have been sold for much money and given to the poor?
It's a problem.
It is a problem, sure. But you see, in many ways, when you get down to these very deep ethical problems, well, there sure is no easy decision one way or the other. You must look at the problem from the point of view of an artist. Which way of doing this is in some sense greater? It may be better to go off with a bang than with a whimper. Let me see. Yeah.
Not all the time. I mean, consciousness all the time.
There is no time, my dear. It's always now.
During every event, at every precise moment.
Oh, yes, if you put it that way, of course.
You are consciously God as an experiencing unit on this planet.
Wait a moment, consciously, not necessarily, because that would spoil the fun.
That's what I'm asking.
If you press button surprise, you press the button so that you forget who you are.
Right, so that you don't always know all the answers to a given problem.
Yes, that's perfectly true. This is called, in the Bible, kenosis. In St. Paul's epistle to the Philippians, he says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who, being in the form of God, thought not equality with God a thing to be grasped, but humbled himself, and made himself of no reputation, and was found in fashion as a man, and became obedient to death." And so you get from this the kenotic theory of creation, held by some of the Greek fathers, that the creation of the universe is the self-emptying or self-forgetting of the Godhead. Yes, I think it's your turn now.
How does your concept of creation evil so that man could see how good is differ from the old stories of a man beating his head against the wall so you feel how good it is and stuff?
It's really rather like it. Because the universe is fundamentally a system which creeps up on itself and then says, "Oh," and then it laughs at itself for jumping. And you see, every time it does it, it forgets that it did it before. So it never becomes a ball. Yes, the lady in red.
Can you make yourself into a point of consciousness and travel around the cosmos, such as Dr. Lilly was speaking of last night in Berkeley Conservatory?
Yes, but it isn't necessary to travel. The question is, can I make myself into a point of consciousness and travel around the cosmos and see things from all sorts of places? I say, yes, but it isn't necessary to travel. One is already there. In other words, I'm using your eyes where you are, like you're using mine. Just in the same way, my head is not my feet, it uses my feet. The head isn't very different from the feet. You couldn't possibly say the head and the feet are the same, but they are one organism.
And each have a soul.
Two.
What do you do about choice?
What do I do about boredom? Press button surprise.
Oh, it's always there.
Yes, always. Yes, the lady in purple here.
You talk about boredom. It seems to me, at least in my own case, and in many people, one of the biggest problems in life is being forced to earn a living at something we do not want to rather do. And I often wonder, is the answer to move somewhere and live on less money and do the things I would like to do, or must I resign myself, as many people have, to do the thing that gets me the bread, and then in my spare time, sometimes try to make up for the many days and weeks and years of this kind of how living. What is the answer?
Well, there are two sort of answers, one of which you've already indicated, which is to do with less and do what you want.
Should be more.
Which,
If I did that, those things, the many of the things that we sort of accepted as part of life wouldn't get done.
I think the objection, if everyone did that, is rather like asking what would happen if everybody wanted to catch the 4 o'clock train from Grand Central to Westport. Or if all the molecules of air in this room were suddenly to congregate over in that corner. There is a bare chance that it might happen, but very low. Yes.
Would you say we're going around in circles trying to eliminate evil because we never will? It might not be an evil.
Yes.
Eliminate it, so we're just playing games.
We are going round in circles. But you see, going round in circles, as you may have observed by looking at the sky, is what the universe is doing. You see, before.
As long as we recognize one, we're all right.
Yes. Yes, that's the thing. It's a dance. And when you dance, you don't dance to get someone. Yes, all right, but you turn, when you wake up, you turn the confusion into a dance. And so I go back to your question. What is the alternative to clearing out of the job you're doing? And to say doing with less but having more fun. Well, there are ways of making almost any activity into a dance. Supposing you had to drive a bus in New York, which is a very harrowing job in the ordinary way, you must not take seriously anything about it. This is the first group. That it doesn't matter a damn if you don't get there on time, but it would be fun to go as fast as is consistent with safety. And therefore, you swing that bus, and you play things with the horn. You take the whole thing lightly, as if it is not serious. And because this is the nature, say, in ritual, when you have a procession. Now, people who don't understand religion don't know how to make the right kind of processions. There are those who go a military march, and they don't understand it because their objective is to get there. There are those who dawdle like ducks, and they don't understand because they are trying to be dignified. On the other hand, there are those who walk as if they had already arrived. And this is the way kings walk. Because a king is the center, and he is always where it's at. Where it's at is where the king is, by definition. So, if you work in this way, people who are practicing meditation take up monotonous things for fun. And meditation is supposed to be fun. I hope John Lilly told you that this morning. Where you say you're going to do Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. You know, you can really have a gas thing. And so that anything monotonous can be treated in the same way. This is one of the ways of overcoming boredom. Because boredom is the great problem for energy. See, energy is always on the go. Yes, sir. Yes, the gentleman in the white shirt.
The quality can be called mythic sometimes.
Mythic? No. Mythic is a great word. Then the question is it bother me to be called mythic? No. Myth is very powerful. Myth is fun. Myth is stories told to children. Everybody loves them. Yes, sir. What? Is God omniscient? Well, it depends what you mean by the word. A lot of people think that omniscience is like knowing everything that's in the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's not omniscience, that's intellectual elephantiasis. Now, you see, let me explain this question because it's always important. And when anybody announces that he or she is God, people say at once, well, will you tell us in millimeters the height of Mont Blanc? And I say, look it up in the encyclopedia, it's there. The thing is this. What we ordinarily call knowledge is the translation of life into words. And that is a very cumbersome process because if we had to translate the process into words every time we took a breath, we'd never get around to it. It takes so long to describe and think through the whole physiology of breath. Therefore, we do it without thinking about it. And I find that I'm shining the stars in just the same way. I mean, if you want it in words, it's going to take us a long time to get through them because words are strung out in a line.
Does that make sense that internally we are, and we are all gods? How come as a god, since you have said that you are all God, therefore I am God, how come I find such difficulties in recognizing, understanding, and finding this credibility within myself?
If you are God, how do you find such difficulty in finding peace and tranquility in yourself? That's because you're looking for it away from the place in which you are. You are seeking it apart from the experience which you have at this moment. And you are regarding that experience and saying, that's pretty lousy, I'd like something better than that. But the trouble with that is that it splits you in two pieces. And once you're split in two pieces, you're lost. Because you made a difference between the experience you are now having on the one hand and yourself who is having it on the other. And you wish you could get away from that experience. Now, the truth of the matter is you can't, because you are what you experience. It's a myth, purely, that there is some sort of experiencer who has the experience. You are what you know, because it is not I know something. There is simply a process called the knowing. You could say the knowing, like the world, has two poles, north and south. And so the knowing ball has the knower and the known, but only in that sense. Now, knowing changes. It changes itself. But if you try to stand outside it and change it, it'll be like standing outside your hand and trying to move your hand from outside. And so comes the difficulty. In other words, this would be the difficulty for God in the press button surprise situation, where you think you want something different from what you have. But if you do think that, you've got to ask yourself the question, what it is that you really want. This is the most fundamentally important question. And you will find, if you go into it very, very deeply, that you have it. Now, you may change your mind about it, but you do have what you want.
God, if this place caught on fire, I would find myself so scared that I wonder if I would also feel that I was God. And if I am God and scared, what do I do about that?
Well, one of the ways of not being bored is to scare yourself.
Yes.
Don't we all go to the movies just to be scared? We put certain limits on it, indeed, before we go and say, this isn't really going to happen. It's only a play or a movie. And therefore, while we see the safe outline of the proscenium arch, back in the back of our minds, as a sort of hintergedanke, we know it's only a play.
I'm talking about when it isn't only.
How do you know it isn't? If you see, after all, the task of the actor on the stage is to come on so well that the audience thinks it's real. So that he has them crying, so that he has them shaking with fear, so that he has them sitting on the edges of their chairs. Well, that's just one ordinary Joe Dokes actor, but supposing the actor of the play is the real big actor. Wow, that play would seem real. So that's what happens when the house cat is on fire. Yes, lady in red. Yes, you're looking behind yourself. What is sleep? The seventh day. What? When is the seventh day? When you sleep. Yes.
Yes, God. The only reason I know that I'm God is because I take the responsibility for it.
Yes.
Does that answer the lady's question about the fire?
Oh, yes, that also would answer it, yes. It's a question of taking responsibility for what happens.
What happens if you don't do anything about it?
If I don't do anything about the world? The boredom.
What's the root of it?
Well, that's another way. That's another way. You can explore boredom. You can bore into boredom. And watch it. Sometimes when you're bored, that's the only thing to do. Because even for God, you can't lift yourself up by your own bootstraps. Because that is by nature of the definition impossible.
You said you would enjoy having a red puppy.
Yes, I think that would be fun. I mean, why else does one go on stage except to make myths? Huh? Excuse me, what did you say? What is my motivation for going on the stage? That is like asking, why is there a universe? Well, now, if you listened to George Leonard last night, George Leonard explained how children were befuddled by being taught to ask why about everything. Because you always look away from what you're asking about to its antecedents, and that won't lead you anywhere at all. Why am I here? And I answer that question. Then somebody says, well, why that? And then somebody says, well, why that? Why that? Why that? And you get back and back and back, and eventually you get tired of answering. And so fathers, when their children say, why, Daddy? Why? They say, oh, shut up and eat your lollipop. But what happens, you see, when we trace the causation of things into the past, it all begins to fade out in silence and no answer. Why? Because it didn't begin there. The universe begins now. It didn't begin in the past. And the past trails back from now like the wake of a ship.
If everything is God and there's no time except now, what is the role of chance?
If everything is God and there is no time except now, what is the role of chance? Chance pairs with order. We'll say randomness, we'll call it, and it pairs with order. And it is part of the nature of order. If you know what you mean by order, you know that you mean contrast with randomness. And if you know what you mean by randomness, you know that you mean contrast with order. So if you want to have order, you must have randomness, and vice versa. Yes?
Did you have this much charisma before you discovered your true nature?
Yes, but it came out in a different way. Yes.
I think there's a sort of danger here, though. The riddles are funny, and if you had time enough to think each one through, that you write it down. There's a certain danger of everything and everyone being God, because if you really found yourself as God, then you know that certain things that you as God have created that don't affect you, you create for a reason, you stay out of them, and you aren't a do-gooder. But if you think you're God, and then you try to go into too much social action and change the evils of this world, you end up hurting yourself and a lot of people, and you're playing God, and you're not really being God.
Well, I admit to you, my dear, that this is a very, very dangerous conversation. And that I thoroughly agree with, but we didn't come here, did we, to play it safe? All profound ideas and profound questions are dangerous. It is dangerous to go into science. As we all know too well, it is dangerous to go into medicine. Dangerous to go into writing, because the pen is often mightier than the sword. And so I don't think we should withdraw from certain things because they're dangerous. But I entirely agree with you that if I were, as it were, in the spirit of God to go about social reform, I would be failing to realize the construction of my own universe, which is that when you interfere with it, you've got to know exactly how you're interfering. Otherwise, the most amazingly unexpected things will happen. So when people ask for miracles, they don't realize what the miracles involve. I mean, if I turned the microphone into a rabbit, it's altogether possible that you might drop dead, because those events might be connected.
Did you ever study with Carl Jung?
Did I ever study with Carl Jung? I didn't study with him. I knew him, and I read a lot of his writings. Yes.
The notion of watching yourself, watching the boredom, or being aware of yourself, you find that there's a separation somewhere.
It does in a way, yes. And it depends how you're watching. There's a very interesting thing that comes up in this respect with regard to the Bhagavad Gita and to the Yoga Sutra, where they talk about the witness. There is, as it were, behind our ordinary self with its emotions and involvements, a witness self that does nothing more than perceive what happens. And this is the Atman, or the Purusha, which is not involved. And some of you, no doubt, especially in times of crisis, have suddenly discovered this sort of witness center behind everything that just isn't involved. Most terrible things can be going on, but the witness is impassive. Now, when we go into these states, we've got to be very careful of our descriptive language, because the descriptive language makes the witness seem something apart from what is happening in such a way that if we want to become really sort of skitsy and catatonic about things, we can always be withdrawn and go in and identify ourselves with a solitary and uninvolved witness, who is merely a hangout for the ego, as when the police raid a house in which there are burglars. And the burglars know they'll be caught if they're on the ground floor, so they go up to the first floor. So then the police come up to the first floor, they're up to the second, finally they get to the roof of the open sky and the infinite. And in this way, this was why the Buddha did not teach about the Atman, the real self within us, because he knew people would use the real self as a hideout for the ego. And so when, say, Krishnamurti tries to explain this, he doesn't talk about the witness. He talks about awareness, and people say to him, but who is aware? What is aware? And he seems a little sticky in his answer here, because what is the matter is that the people asking the question are bewitched by grammar. They are using a language in which it is part of the grammatical convention that the verb always have a noun subject. Now, how on earth do verbs get started by nouns? I ask you. How can a thing start a process? Surely, this is really the same problem Descartes was wrestling with when he tried to find out how spirit could influence matter, or how mind could influence body. Because everybody knows that all proper ghosts walk straight through walls without disturbing the bricks. So how can the ghost in the machine, as Kessler put it, the soul in the body, how can it do anything to the body? There's no connection. Two different realms. I mean, the point is, when we're talking about this awareness, what we call thought, feeling, sensation, emotion, we could say in a very clumsy way is it's aware of itself. It's the very nature. There wouldn't be sensation without awareness. You don't have to have something which is aware of it, any more than you have to have a thing called lightning, which has something called flashing. The flashing is the lightning. And so awareness is the one who's aware of it. I could say this awareness, if I say I am aware, the word I, as William James suggested, is simply a word of position, like this or here. Awareness here. And your awareness there. Yes, sir.